Hey, let's do this. News talk. It's Wednesday night. I know I'm on early. We'll have them all here with me. I'm going to bring Bob on first. Alex is going to join me in a little bit. So feel free to join us. Chime in with your comments, those kinds of things. Like, share, and we enjoy having you support us so much. Just bring on the man himself. There he is, the worm and germ guy. How you doing, Bob?
Mr. B, how you doing? You all right?
Man, so good. So good. Another great week. Things are
Great
rolling
week.
along. More news than we probably could even get to. Kind of frustrating to look at everything and still see some of the very similar stories popping up and those kinds of things. So we're going to talk about a few things. Thought I'd run through some of the topic here, a little preview what to expect. So I've got some Australia stuff on my radar screen, and I got a interesting counterfeit story that kind of fits that a little bit. And then maybe some white supremacy. We got to talk about something going on there. Let's see what else I've got here. We have a interesting video from my friends over at Fox. Yes, that's sarcasm because I can't stand Fox. But it definitely implicates a couple senators and some different things that are going on. I think you folks might find that interesting. We got some. We haven't done anything on global warming / climate change in a minute, so I thought I'd throw that out there. And then, as always, as we did last week, I have to dive into the stupidity. I don't want to call it weird news. I don't want to call it strange news because it's just unbelievable. And I actually asked Alex, and he hadn't seen the clip yet. So I've got that in my back pocket to surprise Bob with as well. Bob, what you got on the table tonight?
I wanted to talk about some more wacky stuff coming out of the land down under, of course, and you've already touched on that. And for a country that so many people heap so much praise upon, all I'm seeing is some horrible stuff coming out of that place.
It's a little on the crazy side, is it not?
Related to liberty and the like. And another thing, I was going to pose a question to you and Alex when you get back. Something I thought about recently. Then I saw somebody actually tweet about it about a week ago. I'm saying, okay, I'm not the only one that this has crossed their mind. So I was
okay.
I'm going to present that question to you guys.
I'm already down, and I have some notes at the bottom of my notes in case you guys wanted to talk about the pop culture nonsense, because you know how that is for me. I will say, thanks to anyone who might be watching who has also watched some of my Pops videos, my subscriber count's moving along rather well. I think I'm getting close to 400, so that's pretty exciting. It's been pretty fast. Had a couple more videos, a couple that did 1,000 views, so that was very good. The views and stuff is still real weird. You still see that a lot where you get YouTube things like one screen will tell you that you have so many views, another screen will tell you you have this many views. Nothing matches. It's still way out of whack. I don't understand. Maybe it's these people that are really big and high profile, those numbers start to kind of coalesce around something that makes more sense. But for us little guys, one thing can say 8, and then you can watch it and it'll be like 130, and you're like, or vice versa. Like the analytics will say 130, and you watch it, it says like 26. It's like, I don't understand.
I don't even question it no more.
No, we just roll on and do our thing.
Yeah. Well, let me do a personal plug there, bro.
Okay, let's knock it out, man.
Just want to let everybody know, September 28th at 5 p.m., be doing a live stream on Facebook and YouTube and maybe even LinkedIn. What is September 28th? What is special about that? That is World Rabies Day. And I'm going to be doing a live stream interviews with Dr. Rodney Rohde and Dr. Pam Wilson, 2 experts on rabies. And people I've talked to in the past on podcasts. But it's a good time if you have any interest in this incredibly lethal disease to chime in, comment, and ask questions. And I'll have the experts right there for whatever you got.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, it's one of those things too where there's a lot of like village knowledge, but not a lot of folks that like speak to actual scientists and ask questions and things to do or not do, and what some of the real facts are. So, as you always do, you do good work. So, what other live streams? How's it been going for you, man? You've been having some good shows. I've caught a couple.
I haven't done many live streams, one a week. What I've basically been doing is picking out 3, 4, 5 stories that I thought were interesting that week and discussing those stories with the audience. I'm getting some comments. People are inquiring about different things. Sometimes I get requests on, what to cover. Last week I did something a little bit different. I did a presentation on the raccoon roundworm, which was about a 35, 40-minute presentation.
Okay.
And that seemed to go okay. And I've done one live stream interview so far. And the brain-eating amoeba, I did that, about a month ago, and that turned out pretty well.
Yeah, I think so too. I watched that one, and I really like that. That's such a fascinating topic for me, especially because we live down in Florida, where the ponds and the streams are warm, so it seems like just a cesspool for these things to grow. And if you're not really aware of the issue and some of the sensitivity, if your child's sick, what symptoms you could look out for, those kind of things. So that video is a great one to always get into. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't really do any pops this week yet. Hopefully to film, maybe I'll do something later tonight or tomorrow. Was able to actually see some things and have some good things to talk about. So yeah, definitely more pop stuff coming. Hopefully get to that today and tomorrow. Get that out there. Good.
Well, while I got you here, what is the big pop culture news of this week? Is there?
There's tons of stuff. There's some stuff that I don't know much about. So I would say some of the biggest buzz is still just. So there's a thing going in through Hollywood and the streaming services where they're buying the rights to make a project and then they don't stay faithful to it. So the new one is a Japanese product called Cowboy Bebop. It's an anime cartoon type thing. They're doing a live action adaptation for this on Netflix, and they released some of the first photos. And of course, they don't show the female character in her sort of sexy outfit that she has in the comic, or this, I guess it's a comic and show, whatever. I don't know much about it, so I will not be doing a video on it. This is close. I'm going to come to talking about it. But it's indicative of a problem that's very widespread. We saw this with the He-Man show on there. I did do a video on that where they promote doing a new He-Man show. And you remember He-Man, we were kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the problem was it was promoted as He-Man. He-Man is in episode 1. And he gets killed, or Adam gets killed, and then he shows up again in the last episode. It's basically the Tila show, and that's it. It's like, so the whole thing, it's like they've gone through the trouble to get rights to do something that's in fandom, pop culture, and then when they do it, they twist and turn it. So some of it is, the third wave feminist stuff. Some of it is just gender swapping, race swapping, and all of that. So Cowboy Bebop is probably the biggest one this week. I think there's definitely some positive buzz about the Spider-Man trailer that came out last week. I think that there's the news and some of the back and forth over Marvel's new film, which I call Shang-Chi. They're trying to say Shang-Chi, which I'm like, that doesn't quite go. I thought there was to do Shang was an O, but it's S-H-A-N-G, and that's how I pronounce it since the comic books. That comes out, well, technically it starts screening tomorrow. We're filming on a Wednesday. It comes out on a Thursday. So there's a lot of buzz about that, how it will do in the box office or not. Are people really interested or not? That kind of thing. Because he's a very obscure character, right? You probably haven't even heard of Shang-Chi.
No.
Yeah, see, exactly. So we're in this new era of Marvel. We're going to be transitioning away from some of that stuff. The era of Thor and Captain America and Iron Man, all that's come to an end. There'll be another Thor movie. And there may be some other stuff, but we're now going to see this new group of characters that most people don't have any allegiance to, knowledge.
Right. So that really leads me to ask, is Marvel losing its mojo?
Oh, I think so. But again, I'm very biased because I'm the uber nerd that they're angering because they've gone through the trouble. So the first phase was pretty good. I think some of it doesn't get the credit it deserves. The second phase of movies to me is the best. Then you see some issues that develop in the third phase where you have, the Black Panther movie, which was very overhyped and exaggerated in my opinion. And then of course, Captain Marvel, which is a debacle, just a horrible film and doesn't hold up well at all. And really, really messes up a lot of sort of classic characters. They gender swapped a character, that kind of stuff. So now that we're in the new phase after that 10-year project, that 20-something film project with Thanos. You have these Disney Plus shows, Black Widow, which Black Widow really is time-wise is in the middle of like phase 2, but they released it now and it was a debacle. Black Widow is just kind of a mess of a film. And then now we're going to deal with Shang-Chi. Then we have Eternals, whatever Spider-Man tie-in there is. So you start to get in these Disney shows. Obviously, you had Falcon, Winter Soldier, and WandaVision. They know those, but then you start getting into the new version of Loki, and we're going to get a Miss Marvel. Hawkeye is going to be replaced by a female Hawkeye. We're going to have a She-Hulk show. We start to get into this transition of these new characters and away from the ones that people really know. So I don't know how that holds up. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you're talking about how it'll affect you, this Marvel uber geek. But what about the average somebody like me?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Actually, that's why I love talking to you about this stuff, because I'm actually interested to get, because the nerds call you a normie. You're a normie. You're like the mass audience.
I have to say, I've already lost interest though in Marvel.
Yeah.
Basically after Endgame, I was like, all right, what's next?
All right. Well, we have him, the co-host of the Unattended Baggage himself, Alex SNITKER, is with us, and we can get into some actual news and away from some of this pop culture stuff that has people probably turning us off. But that's okay. That's okay. We'll get back to that later. Alex, my friend, how is your week going?
It's going. I'm dealing with COVID we still got I still got 4 people out with COVID. It's a whole thing.
Oh, geez. Well, it is running rampant too, man. It's sadly that it's still a topic of discussion and a topic that we'll have to have tonight. It's so difficult that, I told Bob today, we're chatting, and I said, it's like things that involve Afghanistan and things that involve COVID. And there's like, I just don't want to spend so much energy and time and whatever on these two things, but they consume so much of what's happening. It's hard to balance around that.
Yeah, no, it is. It's look, it's the front of everybody's mind. It's what people want to discuss and talk about. It's just too relevant, especially the Afghanistan stuff and the COVID stuff. I mean, I was talking to my wife Kelly about the Afghanistan stuff, and she never talks about politics. Like she never brings that stuff up, and she brought it up to me. It wasn't even me bringing it up to her.
So let's treat Kelly as the normie when it comes to politics then, because Laura has that. I think we talked about in one of our conversations about Laura's taking the black pill because she's like not really politically deep. So she hasn't really seen sort of maybe intricately the cycle of policy, the ineptitude of politics and those kinds of things. But when you have something that shakes you to your core, as you saw this Afghanistan debacle, even if you believe in the extraction, as we have discussed already, but just how badly everything is handled, leaving so much military equipment behind, now we're hearing like execution or leaving behind like trained service dog. I mean, all sorts of stories are just shocking. What is it, if you don't mind sharing, like anything that Kelly said that even surprised you?
Well, she started talking to me about the people that we had left behind. And that got her. The thing that really stuck it to her was, I can't believe we're leaving people behind.
Mm. Yeah.
And was emotional about it. I mean, more emotional than I've ever seen her.
Isn't there like a TikTok video or something of someone who didn't even know we were leaving her behind? Like she's like there and she started crying or something. I don't know. I just kind of casually heard about it today. I don't know if you guys heard about that at all or something. She's like,
no,
this person's there, and then like they didn't know they were being left, basically. Anyway. Bob, what's been your experience from the political normies on things like Afghanistan and their take home from this?
Most people I know that are normies aren't talking about anything really.
No, okay.
No, they really aren't. They're just trying to survive, taking their dog to the vet, doing whatever. But kind of staying on that same topic that Alex kind of brought up is I saw probably one of the worst people on the planet, Jennifer Rubin, one of her latest articles. Are you both familiar with her?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
she did a whole article on MAGA hate crimes and race, and part of it was how the Republicans were complaining that 120,000 Afghanis were, coming to this country or something like that. So she linked that somehow to hate crimes and all other kinds of insanity. She's just the worst. But I read her all the time because she is just a plethora of information, of discussion topics.
I haven't had a ton of topics on Afghanistan come up from the normies, but I think the initial phase, the shock factor, and then of course the terrorist attack was a big deal for a couple days, where that was like, oh my gosh, we've had more people killed like today than like 2 or 3 years or whatever it had been. And I'm like, all right, well, we could talk numbers, but it's been horrible. And then of course this whole thing with the meet and greet of the parents and those that are relatives of those that were lost. There's definitely some buzz about that a little bit, but again, that's mostly going to be by right wingers. I haven't really heard any of like my lefty friends talking about Afghanistan from anything like that. So anyway, do you guys have any Afghanistan topics or anything you want to throw out there real quick before we move on?
I don't know. No, not really. I mean, we've kind of heard it all before. I mean,
yeah,
depending on who you watch right now, one of the big stories on Fox is how angry everybody is that Biden was looking at his watch during the Dover Air Force Base thing. And then, as predicted, if you go to MSNBC, there's a lot of people that are coming out talking about how great a job Biden is doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to admit, I don't know if this is a popular thing to say on this show, but I will say though, I'm glad Joe Biden did this. I'm glad he didn't back out from the pressure he was getting. Now, yes, he didn't do it very well, but I'm glad he didn't back off because I'm sure he had pressure, immense pressure, not to do this at all.
Oh, I'm still hanging on my prediction. I said I said sometime between 30 days and 90 days, the pressure will start mounting for us to send troops back.
Yeah,
even if it's just a few thousand.
I hope you're wrong, but yeah.
No, I'm saying pressure will be mounting. I'm not saying he'll even give into it. But yeah, I just think that this industrial military machine has to kind of keep things rolling, and there's going to be so much PR and ratings from this. It's been great for them, so they love that part. So I do have an Australia story to start with tonight, so we can jump into some of that kind of stuff. Let me hit my little option here and get over to that screen because sometimes when you see things, you're like, what on earth? So this was the latest, guys. Australia's unprecedented surveillance bill was rushed through Parliament in a day. And in this, there's people protesting, of course.
That sounds really familiar.
Look at this. Stop watching. 1984 wasn't a how-to guide. Wow. And the stuff that these folks are going to face now, it's crazy. So let me read a couple of the lines here. There's surveillance legislature amendment. It's got numbers there. It gives the Australian Federal Police and the Australian Criminal Intelligence Commission 3 new powers. Data disruption warrant. So it gives the police the ability to disrupt data by modifying, copying, or adding or deleting it. I don't even understand where that would begin and end. That sounds like a complete open-ended thing for them to do anything they want with anybody's data. That, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Without
network activity warrant. So basically it's a warrant to collect intelligence from devices and networks that are likely to be used by those subject to the warrant. And an account takeover warrant to allow the police to take control of an online account, i.e., or example, social media for the purposes of gathering information for their investigation. The thing that's weird to me is I went and looked at this. I'm not sure I understand who they're investigating. What do they investigate? Like there's so little that's defined well. I couldn't really get my head around who it is they think needs to be investigated and tracked. Bob, what do you got?
I think the excuse that they're making is like the child exploitation and those kind of type crimes. But I mean, obviously, like you said, it's so open-ended that it's the Patriot Act on steroids in a way.
Yeah,
it's really bad, and I thought Alex would appreciate that. 24 hours for that bill to get through, and that brings me back to 2001 when the Patriot Act came up. I remember Ron Paul talking about, we voted on it in 15 minutes, Nobody had a chance to read the bill. I remember that like it was yesterday. That was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
So it's if you get something that quick, I don't care what it says, you should just vote no.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Yep.
Yeah, this was another article that was on it, and it was kind of an interesting sort of counterpoints and more like almost like post as questions. But basically, the first one is, does this mean that anyone assisting with government hacking is protected from civil liability? I mean, how could they not be, right? And if you refuse, you could face up to 10 years in jail, according to the details. Another one says, basically, this is a thing that they can use to basically unmask anonymous technology, talking about online encryption and things like that, discords, things of that nature. So I don't know if that's their way of being able to go into things where, people have, private conversations, private chat, those kinds of things. We know that the American elite was very angry when they heard about, what was it called? There was one called Discord, but there's another one they were called, everybody was racing, the uber wealthy was racing to. And people were mad that was a thing. Okay, that was my Australia, like the crazy Patriot Act part.
It was funny. I was
sequel.
I actually found that story while I was doing a story this morning on Australia, and if you're not familiar with the geography of Australia, there's 7 states, and New South Wales is one of them. That's the most populous. That's where Sydney and some of the big cities are, and they had like 1,000 cases yesterday or whatever of COVID. And what happened was there was also a coinciding report of 150 anti-lockdown protesters getting arrested yesterday. So
yeah, crazy times.
It's just amazing. What my vision of Australia was before and what it's turned into. Right, Australia was like, oh, this is this place you can get away from all the nonsense in the States and go hang.
Mm-hmm.
The nonsense is worse. So
yeah, I think someone echoed your comment from that last time we talked about that. You made a very similar statement. Someone commented on that video, like, yeah, I can't believe this, Bob. You're absolutely right about Australia. I never viewed them in this manner or whatever. Mm-hmm. I heard another streamer talking about, well, I guess it's what you get whenever you've given up your guns. I'm like, ooh,
that's the fact.
It hits to the core as well, right?
And I think that's part.
It's a shame that that's true, but it is true.
Another part of the issue is Australia doesn't have our history, and though we're failing poorly, really bad too. But Australia doesn't have. There's no such thing as free speech in Australia. Canada too. There's no such thing. There's no constitutional rights to that kind of stuff. So it's just that much easier for them to get away with stuff like that.
And they're building the framework to be able to do these things that are absolutely crazy. So I want to share this with you. I don't know if you guys have seen this. This actually just broke today. The story from Illinois. This lady, she has been arrested. Oh, come on. Get this ad out of here. I don't need you. Arrested for using a fake vaccine card traveling to Hawaii. You get this? Like, how is a vaccine card somehow relevant enough that would warrant criminal charges of any kind? So anyway, basically she got busted because she put Moderna wrong. M-O-D, she wrote M-A-D, Moderna. Oh, going in and out of Hawaii, whatever.
But that's actually trending on Twitter now.
Yeah, this is nuts. She was they were able to find her at a hotel because of the hotel reservation. There she is. And here's her fake card. But you're getting arrested for having a fake vaccine record card. Alex, what on earth? I don't understand. How is that even an official enough document to warrant an arrest? Like, it was just so random. And what Bob just said about, there's like this unending sort of creation of rules and regulations of like, oh, we can just get away with this.
Yeah, well, I will not confirm nor deny that I have a vaccine card. So it's just silly all day long. I actually have one that says in case of emergency, break glass. So
yes. Yep.
Here's the thing, and here's where I'm at on this. This is a completely contrived government problem because of these mandates. Like, if the mandate is the problem, there's a lot of, you can be pro-vaccination and anti-mandate. You can be both. You don't have to force everybody to do it. And the fact is that this woman just wanted to go on vacation to Hawaii. She didn't want to go and get she didn't want to go and get the shot. So she faked the vaccine card, and now we're going to bust her for it. I equate this to almost the same way as like Eric Gardner selling loose cigarettes in New York. Is that ultimately now don't get me wrong, for him the punishment was death. For her, she's going to do some jail time. Again, it's a different situation entirely, but it's the same principle of government creating a problem and then busting people when they don't want to comply.
Yeah, what happens if they come out with someone that gets busted in this manner or whatever, because then they have a health condition and cannot get the vaccine, but it's a requirement. So we're creating this class system now where you have, show your papers, right? Show your papers if you want to fly. Show your papers if you want to go to a ball game. But what point does it get to where you have this, somebody said something, and I said, well, yeah, but 1% of the population is like 3 million people. So 1% is millions of people that could be unable. I don't even know the stats. Maybe Bob knows, the stats. The approximate population of people that can't get the poke.
Oh, it's pretty minuscule, but yeah, I mean, people exist.
Yeah, and I think Alex is so right about this whole. You make up a law, and then suddenly you're just randomly grabbing people who either are trying to circumvent it or just don't care, or they're not gonna comply.
Well, what you're doing is you're creating criminals out of people who aren't criminals.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw today that up in Ontario, Canada, they just passed a law starting later this month that you have to produce a vaccine certificate and a photo ID to go into bars, restaurants, and all these things right now. And they did have a provision, though, for medical exemptions, and they say that the person that has a medical exemption can get in with a doctor's note until the exemptions can be integrated as part of a digital vaccine certificate. So we see where that's heading. And I wait for the steam to come out of Alex's ears.
Oh, I'm waiting for the next level. Will be, all right, well, you know what? And we know it's a hassle for you to have this card to get updated when you have to have your booster shots and all that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and give you this barcode, that you can just have. It's microchip if you want. We can put this microchip. So then we'll just give you a little bloop bloop, and you get your shot, and you'll be up to date. You won't have to carry around a card and all that. You don't even need a ticket. You can go to the game and just bloop bloop bloop.
Yeah, we live in a sad world right now where this kind of authoritarianism by a certain percentage of the population is championed. It is not like they will look at you of wanting to be free as selfish, and that you almost get attacked for saying, I don't think that we should have mandates. And they're like, well, you're just selfish. You should just get it. I wish we didn't live in this world that had this kind of authoritarian psychopaths, but they're out there, and there's way more of them than you think there are. And most of them are they're okay with it. They look at it as it's us versus them. And if you're the unvaccinated, then you're somehow evil. When, and again, this is a meme that's going around, so I hate to phrase it. The side that was on the mandatory vaccination side the mandate side has never been the good guys. They're not the good guys. They weren't then. They aren't now. I don't care. You can be benevolent all you want to, but if you want to use force to get your way, then that's a problem. It's just a problem. And again, and the other thing is, I wish that we had a medical community that would be honest. And by being honest, the first thing that they should say is, this is a virus. It's going to work itself through the population. Pretty much everyone's going to get it. So here's what you can do to mitigate it. And then if you get it, here's what you can do in order to be helpful. And to just provide the information, but you make up your own mind. They made up they have a vaccine. It seems to be doing pretty well. It seems like all of the if you do get it with the vaccine, that your condition, your symptoms will be a lot mild. and just give everybody the information and let them go on their way. And then if businesses want to make mandates, again, I don't like mandates, but I don't have a visceral reaction when a business makes a mandate. I can just choose not to do business with them.
That's right.
But if you're going to make it from the government edict on down, then that law can be punishable by death. And that if we looked at every law as it's punishable by death, I think that there'd be a different set of circumstances, at least with some people, or it would at least expose the authoritarian psychopaths for what they are. Because there are some people that say, yeah, we should kill that person if they don't get the vaccine. Like, they deserve to die. Like, there are some people that
there's been some crazy stuff showing up.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I have a couple things to hit with here. And one is, I have been shocked by people who are super smart and yet behave, and we talked about this term before, an NPC. They're a non-player character. They're not thinking for themselves. They are just robots on this topic. They're going along to get along. There's no, and there's also so that's put there with the authoritarian side, which are unable to do what Alex just said. They cannot live and let live, right? So I think all of us and all of our libertarian cores and all of that in our bones is, look, I don't care as much about what you do rather than how it could impact someone else. That's all I really care about. I care about, are you infringing on someone else, hurting someone else, stealing, hurting, pain, whatever. Anyone define it. But on the other side of that, when they don't agree with you, they're not willing to let you be. And that's the difference. That's the divide. The divide is, I need to make you comply with what I think is right. And that's a massive population. And they're followed by a whole bunch of people, even smart people, that will just go along. And I connected dots today, because the topic is a little close to home today. It says, here's the problem. Federal government says, I need you to mandate X. I can't do that constitutionally, but I'm urging all of you private companies to do that. Okay. Private companies go, well, I want to be good with the government, maybe even get government contracts. So I will mandate my employees to do that. And in turn, people that do business with those companies might have to have mandates, and therefore it gets down to the employee level. So ipso facto, I, the employee, may be mandated to do what the federal government is saying to do for a vaccine. So I turn this on its head with the person I was talking to. He says, okay, just think about all that. Forget about the quality of the vaccine. I'm asking you, if President Trump said, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, I need you guys to mandate this vaccine. One did, one didn't. Who do you think he's going to give a federal contract to? Two, how are you going to feel when the one that did do it, let's say Coke did it, they went along, and then they tell their staff to do it. So you're a Coke truck driver. You didn't vote for Trump. You hate Trump, but he tells your company they have to do it. Then even worse, go 1 degree separate. You're a vendor that works with Coke, and they say, well, no, we have to have mandates, so therefore you have to have mandate to keep us. This is exactly the culture that we're creating. Am I not right?
You're right.
Yeah. It's making my head hurt, man. I really am just in shock and there's not anyone that's interested. Like Bob and I were talking about the new study in Israel. We were talking about some of the data on this show. We've talked about the low death toll. No, death toll is not even the conversation anymore, because I keep asking, what is the limiting factor? What is it we're doing? Are we trying to not get people killed? At this point, I feel like we're living in a fantasy land where we're going to try to say, well, we don't want anyone to get sick. It's like a virus. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. It's a flu shot. It's become, we called it a vaccine. And maybe that's the problem, is people are associating it with a cure and not a symptom mitigator, which is basically what it is. Bob, what do you think?
No, I think you're right on target. Yeah.
We have to disagree more. I don't understand what to do here. We're all people like in the first part of the show, folks. We have to get to something else that's just more obnoxious. Maybe that's what we should do. Let's just do something that's more obnoxious. Let's see. I have a story I have shared with you guys. I think we're going to probably have to play and pause because it's going to make our head hurts. because I hate Fox News.
It could only mean one thing.
I hate Fox News so much. For those of you who do not know with my history with Fox News, it is not about the ride. First off, I don't care about any cable. Ask Bob. For years, he'd be watching shows and clips and things like that. I have not turned on a cable news show like directly, giving them ratings in years. I've only seen clips like this. But Fox is the first one that actually stole content from us and then denied it for 6 days till the story was dead, and then gave us the link. We still didn't really get proper credit, but we never got any of it. They probably got thousands of page views and ad revenue for a story that I broke. And when they tried to question me on it, I says, you know what sources I talked to? It's my daughter, you jackwagon. You stole it from us. There's no anonymous source that you spoke to. It's my daughter, because it's a student story. Anyway, let's talk about Tucker for a minute. He has this story that says, quote, this GOP senator has helped Biden reshape the federal courts. We're going to get to the fact checking of his headline because it's already weighted. Can you guys hear that okay?
No.
You can't hear it?
No.
Oh, geez. How do I share audio, Bob?
There's a button you got to click. I can't remember what it's called.
It's always a button. It's either buttons or levers or switches or knobs.
It's buttons and bells and levers and such.
Yeah,
I don't see that. It says share screen. It doesn't say. And Alex, you couldn't hear it, right? It's not just.
No, I can hear it.
Might not be able to do it then because I don't see the button. The button doesn't say share audio or anything. I think what you have to do is you have to download it as a video and then play it directly as a video and not as sharing the screen. All right. Well, we'll go to the story because I always have a backup plan. That ruins my other story though. Oh man, that's bad. Let me see if I can get it to download while we're talking because that's not good. It's ruining my other story that I joke with SNITKER about. Man, it's like, oh man, no, there's no download there. Oh man, it's messing me up, ruining my schemes and my laughs and my giggles and shenanigans afoot. Okay, long story short. First thing is, folks, if you are listening to anyone and they're discussing packing of the court, stuffing of the court, manipulating whatever, ask yourself if they're talking about the other team or not. That's exactly the language that Tucker uses in his little clip, which is exactly what all these people said about Trump. They've won the elections. The most famous phrase is all elections have consequences. Therefore, they have the right to fill federal seats. They have the right to do this. And reshaping the court, right? And isn't that the term they use, reshaping the court?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the one. It's basically bashing Lindsey Graham, who has voted alongside the Democrats to put through all, at the time of the article, this was an ABC article, it was 8, but now it's been 9 Democratic nominees. All are considered, radical and all the stuff that you hear from each side. But what was biased is he only picked on Lindsey Graham. Susan Collins has also done that. I actually fact check, so I read the articles. Yeah, Susan Collins also has voted for all the judges. What's interesting is there's a famous quote from Lindsey a while ago about voting with the other side and doing the things he does. And he says it's to, quote, stay relevant. Doesn't that explain the incredible pendulum swinging we've seen with Lindsey Graham over the years, where we've at times, I kid you not, Alex, we either did a talk, maybe Bob, we did a talk. I know we all said in our heads, if nothing else, where was this Lindsey Graham before? Kavanaugh hearing comes to mind. There's been a couple other times, and I'm like, oh, maybe it's when he was up for re-election.
Yeah,
maybe stay relevant.
Every 6 years.
Mm-hmm. It is insane. Have you heard about any of this, Alex? Are you familiar with this judge thing that's going on?
Yeah, no, I am. And here's the thing. It's 8 or 9 judges. You know how many Trump put in the federal judiciary? Like this is
yes.
Biden is dealing with the scraps of what Trump was able to get done. I mean, Trump, look, they were on a judge spree when it comes to this, which, and again, he had every right to do it. He did it, expeditiously. McConnell helped him out. I don't have any issue there, but the other side gets to do it too, Yep. And just because Magnolia Thunderpussy votes with him, I don't really care.
Okay, I'm sorry. let's say that again.
That
What on
wasn't a
earth did you just?
Oh, that wasn't a curse word either. By
No,
the
no,
way. That
no.
wasn't a curse
I'm good.
word.
What did you call Kitty Cat Lady?
Okay, so Lindsey Graham's nickname, my nickname for Lindsey Graham is Magnolia Thunderpussy.
Magnolia Thunderpussy. Okay, that's fantastic.
Let's break that. Let's break it down.
All get out.
I am not sure what the thumbnail needs to look like to do justice to the nickname that SNITKER has just given. How? Because that will be, I 100% guarantee you, that will be the thumbnail for this clip. That is truly tremendous. Thank you for that, SNITKER.
So Magnolia is part of South Carolina.
Right.
Okay, I got you.
Thunder, because he's a neocon, but because he's sugary all day long, you get the last word.
He gets the last one. Okay. All right. I'm picking up what you're throwing down. That's pretty brilliant. Bob, what do you think about the nickname? I got to be honest. He's giving me some comic relief before I got to the comic relief. I'm very
I just think that's going to become the meme of the week somewhere.
I am so thrilled about Magnolia now. You think? Okay, listen, SNITKER.
We did an episode one time where we put down Magnolia Thunderpussy as my spirit animal.
I wonder if we could just get in cahoots and make our first shirt. And we need to discuss naming our show, because at this point I feel like it needs to have a catchy name or something, because we just kind of all just cruising along through our topics week after week, and we seem like we were having a good time. So we have our first T-shirt. We could make it start funding our project here, so we can keep the stuff flowing along. And yeah, oh wow, stop my topic.
I want the sugariest picture of Lindsey Graham, like right there, with Magnolia Thunderpussy on it, and like a circular logo kind of thing, with some flowers going there, but then like a nuclear bomb here and there. You know.
I wonder if I could get Donkey Hody to let us use one of his images, Bob.
I don't know, man. This may be a $5 purchase, man.
Yeah, you're right. I might have to fund somebody to give me a caricature with thunder. Let me see if this one. What do you think of this? SNITKER? Look at this. I don't know how to make this bigger.
If I remember nothing from this show,
that's what you're going to remember.
That's going to be it.
I apologize.
No.
It's so rare that I get
apologize.
to use it, though. Like, it's so rare I get to use it. I haven't used it in so long, just because I try to eliminate guys like Lindsey Graham from my mind, but they keep coming back in like a bad dream, like a bad penny. They're always showing up.
Yeah, he's right up there with Jennifer Rubin and Max Boot.
Let me change that. I got to.
Oh yeah, for sure.
My favorite people.
Yeah, this is. Yeah.
I'd like to fight Max Boot, by the way. I'm not even a Trump guy, and I'd like to actually just fight Max Boot, because I think he talks way too much trash there, and there's no way he's tough. Like, somebody, nobody's above a whooping, and I think Max Boot's got his coming.
Yeah, I would like to just knock his hat off. He's always wearing a hat.
That's because he's.
Look at this photo. Isn't he ready? Isn't he saying in his little twang there, "Don't you call me Magnolia Thunderpussy again? I will not pass your judge if you do that." I have no idea what he sounds like. That's my country South Carolina accent. I have no idea what he actually sounds like. I don't watch him at all.
That's a good caricature, though. I could just see him saying, "Free speech is a great idea, but we're in a war," or something.
I have some sand I think we need to blow up.
Yeah.
A man that's never met sand that he liked. Yeah. Wow. SNITKER blew up my entire show with the greatest. It's okay. You bought me some time to figure out how to download this video, because I am not letting this go. I've got to find a way to make this video work. So I figured I've got them downloaded. I got to figure out how to re-upload them. So that's what I'm doing now. So I'm in the middle of doing that while we continue this conversation and figure things out. So keep going. Just keep talking amongst ourselves while I figure this out.
I will say this, though. I think it's better that we give politicians negative nicknames, and instead of using their real names, that we should just use the negative nickname. I mean, it's one of the Trump things that I actually find very like, it was really fun in the Republican primary in 2016 when Trump would, like, Little Marco, or like, he would just use all these different nicknames for people, and I really did find that to be kind of funny and kind of endearing because he was. It sucks to say this because I didn't vote for the guy. I don't really care for the guy, but at the same time, he did do things in debate stages that you really you like to see when he would take some of the other politicians down, especially guys like Jeb Bush and Rubio, and there were people he would attack, and it was just like, well, at least he got a little bit on that guy.
Yeah, he did, like Sleepy Jed, Little Marco, Lion Ted. They were home runs. And there is something to be said. I listened to a video one time, and they were talking about the sociology of the simplicity of it. Trump was always criticized for being so simple, but the sociology was it's so easy to remember. It meets the masses on such a larger scale. And your nicknames are great. That's a great name. This is it, man. We're off and running with our first. Do we have anything? We got to think of something for Susan. So keep that in the back of your mind as we move on.
All right.
Because
write that one down.
We're laughing already. So I have something to share with you. And I text SNITKER. He said he had not seen this yet. And I doubt Bob did because it's not Bob's thing. So I'm breaking my rule because I'm not much into cursing. I try not to curse, but more importantly, I wouldn't really want to do that on my show. However, it's not my fault. This is what the person said. And I want to say, technically, it's not cursing. It is the stupidity of the people that are in charge. And it should have been more of it during a COVID segment, I guess. So let me show you a viral moment from...
You answer to us, and I'm asking that you do not pass this policy in Virginia.
Thank you so much, Ms. Thomas. We do appreciate you. Phil McCracken. Phil McCracken. Sook.
Can you guys hear that okay?
Yeah.
I hit the tap for sound too late, so I didn't hear what you said.
Okay, let me see if I can figure out how to back it up. It's not giving me the controls that I want to play with it. So let me see if I can change it.
I will say when you did it this time, it looked different than the last time.
Correct. Yes, I downloaded the video. So we'll see if I can rewind it or not. So this is an actual school board meeting in Virginia. The lady stops talking. He's reading off the names of who I guess is next on the list or has signed up to speak. If you're not familiar with The Simpsons, all I can say is these are people in charge of teaching children.
You answer to us, and I'm asking that you do not pass this policy in Virginia.
Thank you so much, Ms. Thomas. We do appreciate you. Phil McCracken. Phil McCracken. Sook Mahidic. Luke Mahidic. Ophelia McHawk. Eileen Dover. Don Kiddick.
I'm not sure we need to keep going, but it does keep going. You can see in his face, he has no idea. We didn't get to the wanker one. He says a wanker and says it like so clear. It's so bend like over. Total Bart Simpson, bend over. Nothing. It doesn't even occur. You can see it in his face, right? This is a school board. Fire all of them. OMG. The only thing I can think is worse. You guys, please tell me you guys have heard about the Asian plane that crashed in San Francisco, and that I think there was back and forth about an intern and hacking. and this lady reams off the names of the 4 pilots on this Asian plane that crashes on a tarmac. Are you familiar with the insanity of the names?
No.
This is the king of all the trolls. This is so big. All of the nerds play this in their podcast because people misspeak, so they'll mock them. This is the king of them all. This is the king of them all.
We have new information now also on the plane crash. KTVU has just learned the names of the 4 pilots who were on board the flight. They are Captain Sum Ting Wong, Wee Tu Lo, Ho Li Fook, and Bang Ding Ao. The NTSB has confirmed these are the names of the pilots on board Flight 214 when it crashed. We are working to determine exactly what roles each of them played during the landing on Saturday.
We're trying to figure out who played what role. Alex, who do you want to be? You want to be something Wong?
Oh,
I think I want to be Holy Fook. This stupidity. We're supposed to take the media seriously, and they let this get through. This woman. Oh, they blame an intern. Some poor intern probably got canned because this woman read this on the air. Oh, bro, sorry. It never gets old to me.
It was priceless.
The only thing that ranks in the same, there's a new montage of the Kamala Harris saying "Don't come" when she's doing the immigration things, and then there's Trump in a speech at a rally. And he's talking about where he's going to go next, and he's like, "I'm going to come." And they intertwine these things back and forth to Frankie Goes to Hollywood music from the '80s, and it's so inappropriate. But it makes me cry, laugh, because it's insane. Yeah. I don't know. Serious. School board news. It doesn't get any. I mean, if you needed it a little up, folks, I gave you something. It's probably gonna get a copyright strike. It's not like we're getting money yet, but this video will never, ever be monetized. I'm sure it'll get flagged. I don't care. I do not care. But isn't that amazing? Can you believe? Do you want to watch either one of them again? Because I'm very tempted to just do it again because it's just that insane.
Oh man, bro.
Oh, that's a good time though.
I don't even have to make this
a whole new troll. That does bring up a whole new troll for school board meetings. On any of the meetings that you can sign up electronically, you can just sign up multiple names of people electronically and watch them call the names.
I can't even tell you how great people are at trolling YouTubers. Where I'll listen to a podcast or something, and they'll read the super chats on screen, and people will purposely put things as they have to read either the name or the name / the comment that says something, and they've paid money to do this. So part of the courtesy is, you're going to read all of these, bro. The trolls that are out there, I wish there was a way to get them on something I could afford to hire them. They're so brilliant. Brilliant. And my favorite is someone who has, I can't say it, so I will just do it out of order. The last name is Wrecked. Their first name is My Dixie. My Dixie. I kid you not. YouTuber said this out loud and then went on to an even more obnoxious statement. And I'm like, how do you not have a pause and just go, listen, I'm not reading your name. And I've heard worse. Oh, the trolls are just genius people out there. Genius. Well, there you go, Alex. I've taken our show to a whole, you thought you were coming to a classier show, possibly. And no, I refuse to play by those rules. No
class. Magnolia, Thunder P, Bang Do Ow, or whatever.
Oh, let's do it again.
We have new information now also on the plane crash. KTVU has just learned the names of the 4 pilots who were on board the flight. They are Captain Sum Ting Wong, Wee Tu Lo, Ho Li Fook, and Bang Ding Ao. The NTSB has confirmed these are the names of the pilots on board Flight 214 when it crashed. We are working to determine exactly what roles each of them played during the landing on Saturday. We have new information now also on the plane crash.
Bro, you're a mess.
Oh, I didn't think it'd be funny to play it again, but it's even funnier the second time.
It never gets old. It never gets old. I kid you not. Alex, I'm the same way. I have like ADD, so it's all about like assimilate information and move on. But it is not. And like I said, these nerds play it all the time because they'll play these ridiculous sound bites and people say stupid things, and it's like, oh yeah, but it's not as bad as. Well, now the school board video, it's likely to have a life of its own for years because that plane issue, that's from like 2013. I remember this happening. I have to admit, this may be in the Global Dispatch innards. I remember it that well, but I didn't go look for it. We should probably get back to a real topic at some point.
That might be a good idea.
Yeah, we really strayed.
Okay. Do you have something you guys want to do, or you want me to go ahead and grab the next one?
Oh, you grab the next one.
Okay, yeah.
Bob, what you got?
You're riding this train.
What you got?
Bob? Oh, yeah. I got a question actually, and I'd like to get both of your thoughts on this. It's something I thought about for quite a bit in recent weeks or months, and then it was kind of illuminated when I saw somebody else actually tweet it. And let me see what you all think. This person tweets, let's just split the country and government up already. Those who want to be ruled by the elites can, and those of us that just want to live our lives the way we want can. And sometimes I'm just so tired of it all. And I think about it, and like, is there some way? Is secession an option? Is a division of the country an option? If we did something like that, would the people in the blue part of the country want war because they would lose control over the red part of the country? What do you think? Is this even crossed your mind?
Definitely crossed my mind. Alex, you go first.
Yeah, it's crossed my mind. It just seems like such an unworkable solution. I mean, I'm not saying it's not a solution. It just seems so unworkable. And the reason why is that how are you going to split it up? Like, who's going to get what states? How are you going to break everything up? I just don't think that there's a realistic way to break everything up. And I also do think that there are a lot of people that are in both the red and the blue that it's not as much about getting what they want. It's punishing the other side, and that they would view leaving as an escape for them, and so they wouldn't let them do it.
We're going to get actually a little test case with this, Bob. Great question. Obviously, we're talking about the national divorce. Michael Malice has written an article about this several years ago, and now it's part of his regular interview questions and conversations. We have a microcosm of this that's coming to light. Again, Bob and I talked offline a little bit about the comic book industry. And for whatever reason, what we're seeing with the comic book industry is that it's quickly and almost universally being dominated by the extreme left Marxist SJWs. And what they're finding is people are leaving to do, and some of the best creators are leaving to do this. They're using Indiegogo, Kickstarter, and Substack to make their own money be independent. Well, that leaves just them. So who do they fight with? And they don't know how to create, so they end up, all they know is how to destroy, tear down, and whatever. So we're going to see this play out in probably the next year. I don't know how you could divide the country resources-wise and population-wise and not have violence, because most states that are considered red still have democratic cities, right. And most states that are blue still have rural areas that are red. California and New York, obviously, they still have these massive Republican areas. So I don't know how people are just not going to up and move. So it all sounds great on paper, and I do think a lot of folks think about it, and there is the frustration, like you said, Bob. I think we all feel that way at some point. I just don't know how you could logistically make it work.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just I was wondering if anybody else even thought about this amongst the Magnolia crew here.
Well, I mean, in large part, it's no secret. I'm not going to keep it public that I moved away from the city, and in large part, it was a little bit of that. We had kind of an incident that happened. I don't want to get into the details because the police had to be called. People ran through, let's say people jumped multiple fences to run through our yard, and we'd found a cell phone, and they're all pictures of them with guns. So needless to say, I have women that would be home alone during the daytime and things like that, and they felt very unsafe suddenly. Like, what is happening? And it really comes more down to the surrounding areas were losing control of their neighborhoods and becoming shady, for lack of a better word. And that was like the straw that broke the camel's back to make other desires and dreams come true about moving to the country, moving to the woods and that kind of thing, getting away from some of the city life. And it is two different worlds, my friends. Two different worlds in the city and in the rural areas. So I don't know how you could get them to switch places if they vote the other way. Like the city folks wouldn't be happy if they had to move to a rural state and vice versa. I don't know. Logistically, I do understand what you're saying. I think we're headed more to what I said earlier during the COVID section of our conversation. We're creating like a second class of citizens that don't have a piece of paper that maybe more likely in our future than be able to come up with a peaceful divorce. All right. Let me get to this craziness. This is not as crazy as the other, but it is pretty crazy. So the only thing that's difficult about StreamYard that I'll talk about while I transition is this, and Bob and I have discussed this switching screens that you're sharing and stuff. It's not easy. You can't preload. It doesn't make it easy to move from screen to screen. That's the only thing that's a little bit difficult and frustrating. Vox, it's time to rethink air conditioning. I kid you not. Why? Why ask why? Let's read it for ourselves. What if, I don't know, should I try to read it in her voice? No, I'll try to be a newsy person this time. It's going to be harder as we go along with some of these stories to take them seriously and not mock them through their voices and their fake pompous attitudes that comes through in their writing. What if most American symbol of unsustainable consumption isn't the automobile, but the air conditioner? In cool indoor spaces, it's easy to forget that billions of people around the world don't have cooling, and that air conditioning is worsening the warming that it's supposed to protect us from. Quote, oh no, not a quote yet. There are alternatives. We can build public cooling spaces and smarter cities with fixes like white paint and more greenery. Some experts have hailed heat pump technology as a more efficient option. She has hyperlinks because they're her stories, by the way. But as the planet warms, more of its inhabitants have spare income. AC sales are increasing. 10 air conditioners will be sold every second for the next 30 years, according to the United Nations estimate. Access to air conditioning can literally mean life or death for the young, elderly, and those with medical conditions such as compromised immune system. Trust me, this isn't even the insane portion of the conversation. But how does that feel, gentlemen? What do you have to say about that, Bob?
Well, I think she's foolish. I mean, is she willing to give it up and then live like she's in some village in Kenya?
No one needs her to. No one's making her use her AC. I don't know how. I don't know.
No, I mean, air conditioning is just another product of ingenuity and capitalism. And I'm blessed. I feel absolutely blessed to be able to work in an air-conditioned office, right? I mean, without air conditioning, I work in a lab. That equipment wouldn't even be able to stay up. It would overheat.
Alex, her solution is to, quote, build public cooling spaces and smarter cities and use white paint and greenery. Does that even make sense to you? You want me to try to explain her rationale?
I mean, I'm not anywhere near high right now to be able to, comprehend fully exactly what she's talking about. But that does sound like something I've heard somebody say when I think they smoke too much. So and don't get me wrong. Look, let me, for full disclosure, I'm a person that sits in my garage. There is no air conditioning in the garage, and I sit in there all year long, whether it's winter or summer. I do try personally to go without air conditioning sometimes. Like when I was driving, so last summer, I went 90 days. And I was driving, I tried to do 90 days straight with Uber Eats. So I was just driving around every day, doing orders every day. and I was driving a smart car, and the AC did not work in that smart car. And so I was just driving around without air conditioning for the entire summer. Now, I have a much better tolerance, either higher or lower for temperatures than many other people do, but there is no way I'm not going to have air conditioning in my house, because Danielle would, if it don't go as cold as she wants it, she gets mad and gets irritating. So there's no way I don't want somebody to be able to have access to air conditioning. No way. No.
I just want to point out the contradiction of their suggestion is to, quote, build certain types of cities. She doesn't say retrofit. It's like build certain cities or smarter cities. And then this white paint and greenery. So I have to dig deeper. You guys know I'm going to do it, right? White paint. So literally painting rooftops white is part of their solution. She links to an interview that she did. And this is the quote from the person that she's interviewing about, we have found places that have more greenery. Those are 15 degrees, even 20 degrees cooler than areas that don't have trees. Trees shade. They transpire water, which also cools the surrounding environment. So we're going to build cities and plant trees so you don't have to use your air conditioner, Bob. How's that going to go in your house?
Well, 95-degree Florida, no, that's not going to cut it.
You know how long it takes for a tree to grow and be big enough to give you shade? Mm-hmm. We've planted 6 little trees, fruit trees, and they are probably the same size or within inches of how they are a year later. That's it. How many years it takes for a tree to give you shade? These people have no sense of reality. It's completely insane. But wait, it only gets crazier. You know it gets crazier. What do you think, guys? I'll let you guys think what you think. What is it that she says in this article? The problem. It's got to go deeper.
Capitalism.
It's got to go deeper. It's got to go deeper.
It's our excesses. It's race. It's
race. Air conditioning has a racist history and present. There it is. You guys probably can't read it, can you?
No, I can't read it. No.
It's just stupid.
Thank God.
Bro, it's so insane. All right. Air conditioning has a racist history and present. You cite New York City statistics. Even though Black residents make up 22% of the population, they account for half of all heat fatalities in the city. What are the ways we see racism play out in disparities in air conditioning and cooling today? Question mark. And then she goes through stuff about people who were enslaved at the 18th century were denied cooling. I kid you not. This person said that. And it goes
through. Didn't have air conditioners then.
I know. But there's people going, my gosh, that's horrible. It's been centuries and we haven't correct. You know that's what they thought when they read that. Mm-hmm. And then it goes through bias on Black homeowners. It's a lot easier for white homeowners to get houses and to have houses that had air conditioning or cooling through the years after World War II. Then it talks about working class neighborhoods versus a higher percentage of Black and brown residents that are in lower economy areas, so they wouldn't have air conditioning or they have wall units. Then it talks about a heat wave and talks about how a little bit of what you were saying about capitalism, because the strain on the energy grid is because of these private monopolized energy companies, and they'll deliberately shut off the energy grid in order to preserve the integrity of the whole. And the neighborhoods they choose to do that in are the ones that generate the least profit. So her theory is that the energy company, the electric company, will purposely shut off the power grid to the poor neighborhood, but not the rich neighborhood. I have been covering news for a long time, longer than I thought, Bob. I thought about that recently, and I realized I don't think I've ever had that story. I don't think I've ever seen that story that it's been proven that an electric company turned off power only to the poor neighborhood. Have you?
No, that's just more foolishness. What I would like to see, though, is people like, I don't know, he or she, I can't remember what the author is.
Oh, yeah. Let me get to her name. I'm sorry, I didn't do that. I actually have that marked too, because you know what I mean. I gotta know. Her name. She's a complete climate nut job. Her name is Rebecca Lieber, I assume, Leber. She's a white Karen. We covered Karens before.
Yeah.
Here's her bio. Senior reporter at Vox. Rebecca Lieber covers climate change for Vox. Before joining Fox, she was an environmental reporter at Mother Jones, where her investigation exposed gun corruption, fossil fuel industry disinformation. Then it lists some other places she worked. Her articles are, the most recent, obviously, It's Time to Rethink Air Conditioning. Before that, One Policy That Could Challenge the Century of Fossil Fuel Dominance. It's Time to Freak Out About Methane Emissions. There's No Going Back, in quotes, the UN's dire new climate change report. That's August the 9th. How to Redesign Cities That Withstand Heat Waves. And it just goes on and on. This is her job.
Right.
She's a global warming nut.
Yeah, so I would just say, does Rebecca live the way she writes, right? I mean, I said this about John Kerry, like John Kerry before, you know, he's flying to Ireland to get a award for climate change work that he did. And he said, well, I got to take my private jet there to take care of this business. And, you know, if I'm even going to remotely think you're serious, you got to live like Ed Begley, you know, ride around in a pedal vehicle or something. Somebody who's, I mean, he's serious about this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He rides a bike. He's been famous for years. He rides a bike. And there are some leftists that do that, but that is not the norm.
No, that's my point. So I don't even want to hear it. If you're not living it, I don't want to hear it. I just don't want to hear it.
Racist air conditioning, Alex. Racist air conditioning.
There's a YouTube series that I used to watch. I still watch it from time to time. It's called Living Big in a Tiny House. And there's this guy from New Zealand that goes around and interviews people that are living in tiny houses. And if you listen to a lot of these people, what they will say is that they will say, well, you know, we wanted to minimize our carbon footprint. And we wanted to, you know, just live a simpler life and that kind of stuff. You know what? I have a lot of respect for people that are willing to do that in order to minimize their carbon footprint. It's like, if you think it's that big of a problem and you want to do something about it, that's a good thing to do. The other thing I'll notice is, and this goes back to the other story that we talked about. This story, the tree story. Do you know where there's a lot of trees? In the country. So if you want to be closer, maybe we should spread everybody out and not bring them all together. The problem is bringing them all together, that if you were to spread everybody out, everything works a little bit better that way. But they don't want to, because it's all about control at the end of the day. Look, they want those shared spaces because they want to be able to have the unvaccinated not go to those shared spaces. It's all a big circle in this aspect where they want to control these areas so they can control society. And it's authoritarian psychopaths. I mean, this woman is just another example of that wants to use government to stop everybody from being cool in their house. I mean, look, when the AC or when the electricity goes out, people die. So how many people are you okay with losing? Because I've always heard if you lose just one person, I caught myself, Brandon. I caught myself. If you lose just one person, it's a problem. But these people are annoying.
I want to make sure you understand. This is why you'll never want to fire me from a show, because I can deliver even more from the same lady, same article. Let me show you. It's going to get worse. Are you ready? A new word for you, Alex. And then there's the wealth disparity that we're seeing, especially in developing countries, that air conditioning units have become the maker of class and sometimes ethnic divisions of who can and cannot afford AC. That's why an approach to cooling justice, ways to make sure that everyone has access. Cooling justice, SNITKER, right there, baby. Cooling justice. T-shirt number 2, write it down. Cooling justice. Cooling justice. I
promised Brandon I wouldn't curse on the show, but it's so hard. It's just
hard. They are the craziest bunch of jackwagons. Amazing.
How do these people breathe without somebody in their ear telling them in and out, in and out, in and out. Oh.
Cooling justice on Vox made it through the system. It's a term. Cooling justice. Cooling justice. So here's my second
part of the American English lexicon.
So we cooling. No, COO.
Yeah, but you gotta be able to spell it right first.
You gotta spell it right, Snicker. We can't be. We're not like that. We know how to spell. There we go. Cooling justice. So what if we do a cooling justice and then we have like the red slash through it? That's my next shirt. We got two. We're gonna make shirts every show. We'll make at least one shirt. I gotta start figuring out how to write. I gotta write all this down. Make my shirts. I got the Magnolia, my Magnolia shirt, and now cooling justice.
I think the scariest part about this whole thing is that she was dead serious when she wrote the article.
Yeah,
she kept going. She kept going. So, like I said, I read the rest of the paragraph. There's another whole section after this. I could keep going. There is 2 more screenfuls of stuff. It's just completely nuts. These people are out of their mind. You have Vox saying air conditioning is racist and we need to fight for cooling justice. She's a paid reporter at Vox. This is insane. And you thought the school board was bad. You thought I was done with the school board.
A whole different level of cray-cray.
It is, yes. It is. There's something seriously like wrong out there. Like that's where we're at.
Bro,
that
we keep on doing these shows, man. You're going to become a t-shirt tycoon, man.
No, this is for us, man. It's all for us. Okay. This is all for us. Now, I will admit,
you got so much material.
I have another story, but it's not as crazy. But I'm going to make sure you guys are good because we are running longer than we normally do.
Yeah, I got to run.
You guys
soon.
are okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try to hurry through this one. This one is not as crazy, and I can show you the pictures because it does. I asked for they had to send it to me again because I asked them to. They didn't give me the funny one. So we get stories. People want their link backs and all that kind of stuff all the time. When you run news websites, people do this. It's just kind of. It hasn't popped up yet, I don't think. Let me see if I can get it to load here in a minute. I'm sorry.
Funny enough, my office air conditioner is broken right now, and that's where I'm at doing the show. I just find that to be funny.
It is very funny. This is a study. I kid you not, a study. This was I got the picture version. It's a study about the separation anxiety in dogs and dog owners in 2021. People and their puppies. Surveying Americans and who really has separation anxiety. I kid you not. We just did a study. And then it's like it hit us because we were on the map as being bad because Florida's down here in the middle. Arizona's the worst. They're terrible. Their pets are crazy anxious. And then the dogs, how they feel anxious. Dogs are anxious in Colorado. Florida's number 2. My dogs are not anxious. They're sleeping on my bed. However, when I get down there, it's what I want to show you, make you laugh. This is the graphics they put out there. Wait for it. Here we go. The most common separation anxiety behaviors in dogs. Look at this fella. He's barking. He's howling. This guy, well, he's made a mess. And this guy, he's eating something. This guy's eating your shoes and clothes. And this guy dug a hole. This guy's going to chew on your couch, Bob. He's going to eat it right up. This guy's getting away, and I have no idea what this guy is. So I want to make sure I shared you with this guy so we can figure out what is this poor fella doing over there. I don't know what he's doing. He's looking at something. He may have made a do, and that's his do. I don't know. But we have people who are doing studies and how. Okay, so let's refresh our show. We started off about Afghanistan. We talked about some Rona. We've talked about the stuff that's happened in the Senate, pushing judges through. We have very important issues with global warming and cooling justice going on right now. And there's people that are too busy worried about their pet anxiety. And 18% of these dogs don't even know why they're anxious. He's just staring down at some sort of black spot. He don't even know why he's anxious, but he's anxious. But
if you go back to that graphic, isn't that all things dogs do anyway?
I said this person I showed this to, I says, but like 60%, 80% of this is like puppies all do that. Yeah, all puppies do. So if you have a dog within the first year to 3 years, depending on the type of dog, all of them do the first part. But I still don't know what this guy's doing. I don't know what he's doing. So, Alex, here's my question. First world problems?
Dog justice.
Dog justice. Dog justice. How much of a first world problem have we become in America? We have people surveying dog anxiety. We are in a first world crisis, are we not?
That's fat, dumb, and happy, man. God bless America.
Yeah, man.
We make the Romans look like sheep or something, man. This is
If you got that kind of time, I got a house for you to clean.
Man, I tell you what, man, this is crazy. I think I'm finally out of topics that I wrote down. I'm sure you guys, we could probably talk about pop culture and other nonsense, but who wants to do that at this point? But can you believe what a show?
I think we'll just end it on a high note.
Dogs.
18% other.
Anxious dogs. Magnolia Thunder Pussy. Cooling Justice. This week on News Talk, yes, we're going to just touch on Afghanistan, coronavirus updates, even some stuff going on in the Senate. But our highlights is Magnolia Thunder Pussy, Cooling Justice.
We have new information now also on the plane crash. KTVU has just learned the names of the 4 pilots who were on board the flight. They are Captain Sum Ting Wong, Wee Tu Lo, Ho Lee Fook, and Bang Ding Ao. The NTSB has confirmed these are the names of the pilots.
Bro, yeah, if nothing else, you got some great keywords, man.
It's the best. Copyright strike and all, baby. Right there for you. Folks, we are trying to find a way. Maybe you guys know, because I don't know. SNITKER, you've had luck on Patreon. The problem with Patreon is I don't have any stuff to give away or whatever. So I'm trying to figure out one of these sites where you can just donate $1. Just give us $1. If we got enough people to give us $1, we can make shirts, we can do this stuff, have some fun with it. But it's just I don't know, man.
Look,
it's my unofficial sponsor.
I'm hooked on. You got to commit a lot of time to it. I mean, I always look at it like this, especially for the podcast, especially like me and Adrian's podcast for sure. Look, it's just fun to have a conversation with them all the time, and we record it, and there's a certain amount of people that like it. And, I'm not depending on it for any money. So whatever we do, and there's people that like it. And if they do, it's great. If they don't, then I have a lot of fun with the Telegram now because there's some people that really like the show that are in the Telegram, and so I just communicate with them. I'm actually doing less now on regular social media, and just because Adrian was actually at the office today. He stopped by totally unannounced. I actually had John Hallman here because we were going to go to lunch, and Adrian just pulls up, and so he sat there for a little while. I took a picture. I put the picture on Telegram. Yeah, I put it in the group there, the group chat that goes on there, and people get a kick out of it. And I think you have to first off want to do it because you like doing it, and then after that, I will say this is that the T-shirt idea is not a bad idea. The only thing is I think that you have to put it on like those pages where they're going to do all the stuff for you, and you get a very low percentage.
Like Teespring,
build it up enough. Was that?
Like Teespring, like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Otherwise, you have to buy so many shirts and have all this upfront cost to have hundreds of shirts made or something like that. It's a very expensive proposition.
But once you're able to sell a bunch and you kind of get the sizes down and stuff like that, then then you can do it yourself. But until that time comes, you just have to, like we bought all those coins. I still have a bunch of those coins. We just give them out when somebody signs up. I just mail them the coin or the bomb, stuff. And
not a bomb bag.
I actually would like to find somebody to do. I would like to find somebody that just would do it for me, just because it's just easier that way. And I always put an extra stuff in there. Like I got a whole bunch of just propaganda swag at the house, and I'll just throw something extra in there, like a Liberty First Network hat, or like I have an old 1787 network shirt or something like that. Like I got a bunch of just old stuff that I just put in there as well. And some people get a kick out of it, and some of it's probably getting thrown away.
Hey, you know what? It's like you said, we enjoy doing it. We're having a good time. That's what the Wednesday night thing's becoming now. It's almost like a cool time to just kind of catch up, chat, and give everybody the lowdown on some of the insanity that's out there, and hopefully surprise you with something you haven't seen or heard. And that was my goal tonight. I surprised the boys, and that makes me feel good. I have to admit, feeling pretty good about myself right about now. Because when I text SNITKER about the school board thing, and I did not play the whole video, so you guys are on your own Googling that because it goes on and on and on. I kid you not. It is a home run of laughter. And then to know that neither one of you had seen or at least forgotten about this San Francisco one, which to me never gets old. It never gets old. So, Bob, what's going on in your world? Outbreak coming up this week? Any stuff already scheduled?
No, I did a podcast on Monday on Legionella, something Alex knows, and there's been several human anthrax cases in China, so I'm trying to line up somebody for an anthrax interview very soon. And then I got the whole World Rabies Day thing coming up on September 28th, the live stream.
Laura and I were talking. I think that we talked about this. I don't know if we did it on the show or we did it offline again about how plague is back. We have plague now.
No, plague never left.
I know, but we kind of presume it does.
Yeah.
And of course, we have all this craziness going on. I said, "Oh yeah, just don't forget, baby. Plague is back." And I always joke, "Plague is back." Wait, is that another shirt? Is plague is back another shirt? I'm writing it down. It's
not to write it down.
It's not Magnolia.
No.
It's close. The worst is you wish you could get the rights for the images so you could do like a Terminator thing. You could have Arnold and it'd be like Plague is back. But it doesn't. It's not. Yeah, hashtag Plague Justice. It's spelled wrong too, SNITKER. We're not letting you in charge of any t-shirt.
That one I did on purpose.
Plog Justice. Plog Justice. We're not going to be allowed to play together at this point.
Wow.
Oh, I do. I've also done like you did, Bob. I reached out to some folks if they wanted to come on or not. I haven't heard anything. I didn't know who else to reach out to. We talked about some names or whatever. I don't know. We're having such a good time. Who cares?
What about Adrian? Will he come on?
Oh, that's kind of our ongoing little joke because we doubt it.
We might. He's such an a-hole though that it's hard to commit him to anything.
Well, he won't commit to probably not cursing on my show, so that'll be the first problem. Is he won't censor himself, so that'll be the first problem. That'd be a problem because half the audience is probably not into that. Funny. He's very unhinged.
That's why I won't do it on your show. It's a good for me as a lesson in case I ever actually did an interview like on like TV or anything. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the odds of that are slim to none at this point. But if I always like to see if I can challenge myself to not actually curse.
It's difficult at times. I have to admit. I see it out of you, SNITKER. You're over there struggling. I got to admit. And then, Bob, I heard what you said, but I think that's the normie thing, and they're not comfortable barely talking to me, let alone talking publicly. That's the thing, too. It's a lot of people don't have a problem with voicing their opinion behind closed doors and the cloak and dagger of a keyboard, but actually be out there. And this is very common, this whole thing, where you just have an avatar. That's a very common thing, especially because of cancel culture and stuff. I have to be honest, I would forget and just show myself out of the blue. Well, so much for that. I've been behind an avatar for a year. And oh, by the way, I forgot to turn it off. I mean, I'm not, my ADD runs at so high speed. There's no way I would remember. I actually had to figure out how to teach myself how to do this today because my allergies are so terrible. I didn't want to be trying to blow my nose or something. It's so awful. Of course, everyone looks at you like you're crazy because you got, whoa, SNITKER's like turning me upside down. I don't know what's happening over there.
Sorry about that. Sorry.
You're doing fine, bro. You're doing fine. All right, man. Well, listen, guys, I think we did some incredible stuff tonight. I have a lot of fun weekend coming ahead to clip because there's no way I'm going to be editing and not laughing. So I'll be sitting in the living, we have this giant house and this ridiculous space, and I'm in there by myself and I'm editing away. And everything takes forever to download, so you have to clip it and then just set the computer aside. But I'll just be laughing to myself. Magnolia.
Yeah. That definitely
Cooling Justice and Plog Justice. Yes, I remember SNITKER. All right, folks. All right. Maybe you saw something that you were at least to laugh about. We gave you a break. Gentlemen, as always, I appreciate it. Love you both. Have a good weekend, good week. Talk to you soon, man.
Yeah, I'll take care.
See you guys later.